Hey guys, Matt here. This is my review of Green Lantern. Yes, it's finally out. After months and months of waiting, Green Lantern's here. And the movie's directed by Martin Campbell, who previously directed GoldenEye, Casino Royale, both of the Zorro movies, and Edge of Darkness. This movie stars Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively, and Peter Sarsgaard, with Mark Strong, Tamara Morrison, Geoffrey Rush, Tim Robbins, Michael Clark Duncan, and Angela Bassett. When I first heard they were making a Green Lantern movie, I got excited because we got to see all of the elements of Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, Sinestro, and the core that we love in the comics finally brought to the big screen. And then I saw the trailer, and I started to get worried and concerned. And now that I've seen the movie, I can honestly say that a lot of my concerns and worries were as bad as I thought they would be. Okay, let's start off with the main character, Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds is a good actor. He's in mostly comedic movies, but he impressed me with his drama turns in Amityville Horror and Buried. But the thing is, going in this movie, I had a gut feeling that Ryan Reynolds was going to play Hal Jordan a lot like the way Robert Downey Jr. played Tony Stark. And I was exactly right. Ryan Reynolds brings as much seriousness to playing Hal Jordan as if Ryan Reynolds was playing Frank Castle, the Punisher. He just had too many quips, and the writers just threw in too many comedic lines that made me think, who am I watching? Is this Hal Jordan, or is this supposed to be Kyle Rayner or Wally West? Because he was too much of a smartass. Granted, yes, Hal Jordan has made some jokes, but they're few and far between. It's not like he's, a comedian who has to get serious. No, that's not what Hal Jordan was at all. He was always serious, and it was actually a surprise to hear him make a joke. Whereas with Ryan Reynolds playing Hal Jordan, he was funny so much of the time that by the end of the movie, when he finally did buckle down and get serious and take his Green Lantern responsibility seriously, that's what surprised me. So, to me, he was the biggest flaw in the movie. Now on to Blake Lively. Blake Lively, who was previously in The Town, she's very attractive. Her role in this movie as Carol Ferris didn't fit her quite well, because when I imagine Carol Ferris, I imagine her to be somewhere in between Lois Lane and Wonder Woman, where she's serious, but she can also be loving and caring as well. Blake Lively, in her role, reminded me too much of Mary Jane in Spider-Man. Now on to Peter Sarsgaard, the villain, if not one of the villains in this movie. Now, his role is pretty good. He's usually a good actor, and for what he was given in this movie, for the role of Hector Hammond, they pulled it off really well, because in the comics, Hector Hammond's head grows massively huge, and I like the way how they made it practical to where just his lobes and his brain got huge and not his entire head. He played a villain quite well, though he wasn't used as long as I thought they would. I thought he would be the villain in, possible sequel, but they didn't do that. They instead made Parallax the main underlying villain in the movie, and Parallax wasn't exactly the same looking as he is in the comics. He looked more to me like the way Galactus did in Fantastic Four #2, where he didn't look the same, but they got the general point across of what he was made up of and what he did. Now, the supporting cast of Mark Strong, Geoffrey Rush, and Michael Clark Duncan, they did good jobs for their roles. However, I just couldn't quite understand why, if Hal Jordan became a part of this Green Lantern Corps that spanned, the entire universe with 3,600 space sectors, why we only really got to see Hal Jordan in action. I mean, Sinestro and Tomar-Ray, played by Geoffrey Rush, they always talked about unity and sticking together, and they didn't really seem to help out one another all that much. I mean, it was great to see Mark Strong as Sinestro, the future villain of Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, but his scenes left me wanting more. I mean, they would show him for about a minute or two, and, you know, his role was really captivating, but then he would leave, and you'd keep thinking to yourself, that's it? That's all we got? Same thing with Michael Clark Duncan as Kilowog. His role was pretty humorous for what it was, and he looks pretty cool, but I wanted to see him again after he went off screen. I was kind of getting tired of just seeing Hal Jordan. You know, I wanted to see all the other Green Lantern members and what they could do and who they were. Instead, we just got a shot like in the movie Matrix, or even the animated movie Ants, where we got to see all these characters together and unified, but that's all we got. We just got to see the group of them. We didn't get to see them individually. So, hopefully, in this sequel, which I'm pretty sure they're going to do, they'll explain more characters and show more characters and introduce more elements of Green Lantern, because this movie was pretty much like the first X-Men movie, or the first of any superhero movie, where they basically simplify the backstory and the characters and everything else to where they're going to show you everything in great detail, but they're going to simplify it so you don't get confused or forget. Went for Tim Robbins' role as the Senator, Hector Hammond's father, and Angela Bassett, who played Amanda Waller. Tim Robbins' character was pretty much pointless in the movie. I mean, they really could have left his role out of the movie, and I really would have noticed the difference. I guess he was only in there to help move the story along. And Angela Bassett, her role was so small that if you would have blinked, you would have missed her. I mean, she's a pivotal character in the DC Universe. She's not as pivotal as, let's say, the Joker, but she does affect the DC Universe in the future, and it was a shame that they really underused her character. Probably, to me, the best depicted minor character in the entire movie was Abin Sur, Hal Jordan's predecessor, played by Tamara Morrison. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Most of you know him as Jango Fett. He was also in Barbed Wire, as well as Once Were Warriors. His role as Abin Sur was really, really good. I mean, I preferred his role as Abin Sur over Mark Strong's as Sinestro. So, for what the actors and actresses were given, their acting was okay. I do think the writing should have been better. I think the writers should have made this movie either a little more like the comic book, Green Lantern Secret Origin, or like the DC animated movie Green Lantern First Flight, because in that movie, you get to see more about Sinestro. You get to see how he views things, how he interacts with Hal Jordan, and just what his personality is like. We didn't get to see too much of that in this movie, and it's a real shame, because he was one of my favorite characters in all of Green Lantern lore. And for those of you that are wondering, yes, there is a small scene after the credits. Now, I don't mean you have to sit through 5 to 10 minutes of watching people who worked on the film whose names you could care less about. I mean, watch the credits for about a minute or two, and there's a break in the credits, and there's a little scene that leaves the movie open for a possible sequel, which is always nice, because I viewed this movie as I did the first X-Men, Spider-Man, Batman, and Iron Man film, where this movie is a starting out point. It's a movie that you can build bigger and better sequels off of. You can introduce more settings, more environments, and even more characters. So, if I had to rate this movie from 1 to a 5, I'd give it a 3.5. DC, pay attention. For right now, Batman movies and Superman movies are the best things you have going next to your animated films. So, will Green Lantern be one of those franchises? Well, we'll see. Till next time, guys. See ya.